First contact. The vast expanse of space stretched out before the U.S. horizon, Earth's most advanced exploration vessel. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the swirling nebula ahead. After months of travel through the cosmos, they had finally reached their destination, a previously unexplored sector of the galaxy that promised new discoveries and potential resources for humanity's ever-expanding reach. Status report, Chen called out, her voice steady despite the anticipation building in her chest. Lieutenant Rodriguez, the ship's science officer, looked up from his console. All systems nominal, Captain. We're detecting some unusual energy signatures from within the nebula. It could be a new element, or... He paused, his brow furrowing. Wait, there's something else. Chen turned to face him, her interest piqued. What is it, Lieutenant? Before Rodriguez could answer, a brilliant flash of light erupted from the heart of the nebula. The bridge crew shielded their eyes, and when they looked again, they saw something that would change the course of human history forever. A massive ship, easily 10 times the size of the horizon, emerged from the swirling gases. Its design was like nothing they had ever seen, sleek, organic curves that seemed to flow like liquid metal, pulsing with an otherworldly energy. My God, Chen whispered, her composure momentarily shaken. First contact. The alien vessel hung motionless in space, its presence both awe-inspiring and terrifying. Chen knew that the next few moments would be crucial. Humanity had long debated how to handle first contact with an alien civilization, but now theory had become reality. Open a channel, Chen ordered, straightening her uniform. All frequencies. Communications Officer Patel nodded, her fingers dancing across her console. Channel open, Captain. Chen took a deep breath, aware that her words might be the first human speech ever heard by an alien intelligence. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth exploration vessel U.S. Horizon. We come in peace and friendship, seeking to expand our knowledge of the universe. We welcome the opportunity for peaceful communication and cultural exchange. Seconds ticked by, feeling like an eternity. The bridge crew held their breath, waiting for a response. Suddenly, the ship's speakers crackled to life, filled with a melodious, almost musical language unlike anything they had ever heard. Rodriguez's console beat as he rushed to analyze the transmission. The computer is struggling to decode their language, Captain. It's incredibly complex, operating on multiple frequencies simultaneously. Chen nodded, her mind racing. Keep working on it. In the meantime, let's try some universal mathematical concepts. Send them a series of prime numbers. As Patel transmitted the message, the alien ship began to move. It gracefully maneuvered closer to the horizon, dwarfing the human vessel. The crew tensed, unsure whether to interpret this as a sign of aggression or curiosity. Suddenly, a beam of soft, purple light engulfed the bridge. Chen felt a tingling sensation throughout her body, and when she tried to speak, she found her words transformed. Greetings, humans of Earth, she heard herself say, but in the alien's musical language. We are the Zaraquin, guardians of the celestial nebula. Your presence here was foretold in our ancient prophecies. Chen realized with a start that the aliens had somehow granted them the ability to communicate. We are honored to meet you, she replied, marveling at how her thoughts were instantly translated. We come with peaceful intentions, eager to learn and share knowledge. The purple light pulsed, and a holographic image appeared on the bridge. A tall, ethereal being with iridescent skin and eyes that sparkled like distant stars. I am Queen Selania of the Zarquin. Your arrival marks the beginning of a new era for both our peoples. However, we must proceed with caution. Our histories tell of other encounters between species that ended in tragedy and war. Chen nodded solemnly. We understand, Your Majesty. Humanity has its own dark chapters of conflict. We've learned from our past and strive for peaceful coexistence. Queen Selania's expression was unreadable, alien in its subtleties. Words are easy, Captain Chen. Actions prove intent. We invite a delegation from your ship to our world. There, we shall determine if our species can truly coexist. The invitation was both thrilling and terrifying. Chen knew the risks of sending her crew to an unknown alien world, but the potential benefits to humanity were immeasurable. We would be honored, Your Majesty. How shall we proceed? Prepare your chosen representatives, the Queen replied. When you are ready, we will transport them to our ship and then to Zarquin Prime. Choose wisely, for the fate of future relations between our peoples may rest on their shoulders. As the hologram faded and the purple light retreated, Chen turned to her crew. Their faces reflected the mix of excitement and apprehension she felt herself. Well, she said with a slight smile, it seems we have some preparations to make. Over the next few hours, the crew of the Horizon worked feverishly to prepare for the diplomatic mission. Chen selected a small team, herself, Lieutenant Rodriguez for his scientific expertise, Dr. Amelia Foster, the ship's cultural anthropologist, and Security Chief Marcus Donovan. As they gathered in the shuttle bay, Chen addressed her chosen team. Remember, we're not just representing the Horizon or even the United Earth government. We carry the hopes and dreams of all humanity with us. Our actions here could shape the future of our entire species. Donovan checked his sidearm, a nervous habit more than a preparation for use. Do you think they're as anxious about this as we are, Captain? Chen considered the question. Probably. First contact is a monumental event for any civilization. We need to be patient, open-minded, and above all, diplomatic. As if on cue, the purple light enveloped them once more. Chen felt a momentary disorientation, and suddenly they were no longer on the horizon. They found themselves in a vast, circular chamber aboard the Zarquin ship. The walls seemed alive, pulsing with soft bioluminescence in mesmerizing patterns. Queen Silania glided towards them, her movements graceful and fluid. Up close, the humans were struck by her alien beauty. Her skin shimmered with colors that seemed to shift and change, and her eyes held depths of wisdom that hinted at a lifespan far beyond human comprehension. Welcome aboard the Celestial Harmony, the Queen said, her translated voice resonating in their minds. We shall now journey to Zarquin Prime. There you will learn of our people, and we shall determine if our species are compatible for alliance. As the humans marveled at the advanced technology surrounding them, they felt the subtle shift of the massive ship entering faster-than-light travel. Their journey to an alien world had begun, carrying with it the weight of humanity's future among the stars. The trip to Zarquin Prime was mercifully short, thanks to the incredible speed of the alien vessel. As they approached the planet, the humans gathered at a large viewport, eager for their first glimpse of an alien homeworld. Zarquin Prime was a sight to behold, a swirling marble of purple, blue, and green, with rings of crystalline fragments encircling it like a celestial halo. As they descended through the atmosphere, they saw sprawling cities that seemed to grow organically from the landscape, their spires reaching towards the sky in defiance of gravity. Queen Silania led them to a grand hall in what appeared to be the planet's capital. The architecture was a blend of technology and nature, with living plants integrated seamlessly into the structure. High-ranking Zarquin officials gathered to witness the historic meeting, their curious gazes fixed on the human visitors. Esteemed members of the council, Queen Silania announced, her voice carrying effortlessly through the hall, I present to you the representatives of humanity, a species that has achieved spaceflight and now seeks to join the galactic community. Chen stepped forward, bowing respectfully. On behalf of Earth and all humanity, we thank you for this opportunity. We come seeking friendship, knowledge, and mutual understanding. A murmur rippled through the assembled Zarquin. An elder with skin that had faded to a pale lavender addressed the humans directly. We have observed your kind from afar for many cycles. Your species is young, volatile. You war amongst yourselves and ravage your own world. How can we trust that you will not bring such chaos to the stars? Chen felt the weight of the question. It was one humanity had grappled with itself as it reached for the stars. It's true that our history is marked by conflict, she admitted, but it is also a history of overcoming divisions, of learning from our mistakes and striving to be better. Our journey to the stars has united our world in ways we once thought impossible. We seek not to conquer, but to understand and cooperate. The elder seemed to consider her words carefully. Pretty sentiments, but words alone are not enough. We require proof of your commitment to peace. Queen Silania stepped forward, her expression thoughtful. Perhaps there is a way. Our ancient traditions speak of binding different peoples through union, a joining of bloodlines to ensure loyalty and understanding. Chen exchanged glances with her team, uncertain of where this was leading. The queen continued, I propose this. One of your people shall remain here, to live among us, to learn our ways, and to marry into our royal line. The human delegation was stunned into silence. Dr. Foster was the first to find her voice. Your Majesty, while we're deeply honored by your proposal, our cultures have very different views on arranged marriages. It would be a monumental decision for any individual to make. Queen Silania's eyes sparkled with an emotion the humans couldn't quite decipher. Of course, we do not expect an immediate answer. You may return to your ship and discuss this proposal with your leaders. But know this, such a union would cement an alliance between our peoples. It would open doors to technological and cultural exchanges that could propel both our civilizations to new heights. As the humans prepared to return to the horizon, Chen's mind raced with the implications of the Queen's proposal. It was an opportunity unlike any in human history, but it also carried enormous risks and ethical considerations. Back aboard the Horizon, Chen called an emergency meeting with her senior staff. The ship's mess hall buzzed with excited conversation as the crew digested the news of the alien encounter and the shocking proposal. All right, people, let's break this down, Chen began, calling the room to order. We're faced with a decision that could alter the course of human history. The potential benefits of an alliance with the Zarquin are immense. Their technology, their knowledge of the galaxy, the protection they could offer. But we're also talking about asking someone to essentially exile themselves from Earth, to live in an alien culture and marry someone, or something, they've never met. Dr. Foster leaned forward, her expression troubled. From an anthropological standpoint, this is fascinating. Many Earth cultures have used political marriages to forge alliances, but we're talking about cross-species union here. The biological and cultural implications are staggering. Lieutenant Rodriguez nodded in agreement, not to mention the potential scientific advancements. Did you see their ship, their city? We could leap forward centuries in our understanding of physics, biology, sustainable energy. All of which sounds great, Security Chief Donovan interjected, until we consider the security risks. We'd be placing one of our own in a vulnerable position, potentially as a hostage, and who's to say this isn't some elaborate trap? The room erupted in debate, voices rising as crew members argued the pros and cons of the proposal. Chen let it continue for a few minutes before raising her hand for silence. I understand all of your concerns, she said calmly. They mirror my own. But the fact remains, this is bigger than us. This decision will affect all of humanity. We need to report back to Earth Command and let them make the final call. As the senior staff dispersed, Chen retreated to her quarters to compose her report. She spent hours detailing every aspect of their encounter with the Zarquin, knowing that her words would be scrutinized by the highest levels of Earth's government. Days passed as they awaited a response from Earth. The crew of the Horizon remained in a state of heightened alert, watching the Zarquin ship that hovered nearby, a constant reminder of the momentous decision that hung in the balance. Finally, the encrypted transmission from Earth Command arrived. Chen gathered her senior staff once more, her expression grave as she prepared to deliver the news that would shape the future of human-alien relations. Earth Command has reached a decision, she announced, her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. They've approved the Zarquin proposal with conditions. Participation must be strictly voluntary. The chosen individual must be fully briefed on the risks and implications, and we must negotiate terms that allow for continued contact and the option for the individual to return to Earth if they choose. A heavy silence fell over the room as the implications sank in. They were really going to do this, to send one of their own to live among the aliens, to marry into their royal family. So, Chen said, breaking the silence, the question now is, who's willing to volunteer for what might be the most important diplomatic mission in human history? The room remained quiet, the weight of the question hanging in the air. Then, slowly, a hand raised. All eyes turned to the volunteer, and Chen felt a mix of pride and concern as she recognized the face of the person who might soon become humanity's ambassador to the stars. As Part 1 comes to a close, the stage is set for an unprecedented adventure. The identity of the volunteer, the reactions of the Zaraquin, and the challenges that lie ahead will unfold in the coming chapters of this epic tale of first contact and interstellar diplomacy. The celestial betrothal. The silence that followed Captain Chen's question was deafening. Who among them would volunteer for a mission that was equal parts groundbreaking and terrifying? The fate of humanity's galactic future hung in the balance, waiting for a single hand to rise. And then it did. "I'll do it," came a steady voice from the back of the room. The crowd parted, revealing Jake Cooper, the Horizon's xenobiologist. All eyes turned to him, a mix of awe and disbelief on their faces. Jake stepped forward, his resolve evident in his piercing blue eyes. "I spent my entire career studying the possibility of alien life. Now we've not only found it, but we have a chance to live among it, to truly understand it. This is what I was born to do." Captain Chen studied Jake carefully. He was young, barely 30, with a brilliant mind and an insatiable curiosity. Queen Silania glided forward, her ethereal beauty even more striking up close. "Welcome, Jake Cooper of Earth. We are honored by your willingness to unite our peoples through this sacred bond." Jake bowed deeply, recalling the protocols he had studied. "The honor is mine, Your Majesty. I come seeking to build a bridge between our worlds, to foster understanding and cooperation that will benefit both our species." A murmur of approval rippled through the assembled Zarquin. The Queen's eyes sparkled with an emotion Jake couldn't quite identify. "Noble words, young human, but are you prepared for the reality of life among us? To bind yourself to a being so different from yourself?" Jake met her gaze steadily. "I am, Your Majesty. Differences are what I've studied my entire life. They don't frighten me, they fascinate me. I'm ready to embrace this new life, with all its challenges and wonders." Queen Silania nodded, seemingly satisfied. "Then let me introduce you to your betrothed, my daughter, Princess Zaralin." The crowd parted, and Jake felt his breath catch in his throat. Princess Zaralin was a vision of alien beauty. Her skin shimmered with patterns that seemed to dance and shift, casting rainbows in the light. Her eyes, deep pools of swirling cosmos, met his with equal parts curiosity and apprehension. As Zaralin approached, Jake felt a strange sensation wash over him. It was as if the very air around them was charged with an otherworldly energy. When she spoke, her voice was like music, each word a melody that resonated in his very soul. "Greetings, Jake of Earth," Zaralin said, her words translated by the advanced Zarquin technology. "I am honored to meet the one who would bridge our worlds." Jake smiled, forcing himself to remember his diplomatic training. "The honor is mine, Princess Zaralin. I look forward to learning about your world and your people." As they stood face to face, human and alien, the weight of history pressed upon them. Two species, separated by vast gulfs of space and biology, now stood on the precipice of a union that could reshape the galaxy. Queen Silania raised her hands, addressing the assembled crowd. "Let it be known that on this day, we mark the beginning of a new era. Jake Cooper of Earth and Princess Zaralin of Zarquin Prime shall be joined in union, binding our peoples in peace and cooperation." The hall erupted in a chorus of alien voices, a cacophony of approval that overwhelmed Jake's senses. As he stood there, beside his alien bride-to-be, he felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. He had prepared himself for many things, but the reality of his situation was only now truly sinking in. In the days that followed, Jake was introduced to the intricacies of Zarquin society. He marveled at their advanced technology, which seemed to blur the lines between science and magic. Their cities were living entities, buildings that grew and adapted to the needs of their inhabitants. Energy flowed freely, harnessed from the very fabric of space-time itself. But it wasn't all wonder and amazement. Jake quickly realized that navigating Zarquin's social customs would be one of his greatest challenges. Simple gestures could have profound meanings, and misunderstandings were frequent and often embarrassing. One evening, as Jake sat in the lavish quarters assigned to him, trying to make sense of a particularly complex Zarquin text, there was a soft chime at his door. To his surprise, Princess Zaralyn entered. "I hope I'm not disturbing you," she said, her voice carrying a hint of uncertainty. Jake quickly stood, bowing slightly. "Not at all, Princess. Please come in." Zaralyn glided into the room, her movements fluid and graceful. "I thought perhaps we could speak privately, away from the eyes of the court and the expectations of our peoples." Jake nodded, gesturing for her to sit. As she did, he noticed how the patterns on her skin seemed to pulse with her emotions. "I'd like that," he said softly. "There's so much I want to ask, to understand." For hours they talked. Jake learned of Zaralyn's life as a princess, the weight of expectations placed upon her since birth. In turn, he shared stories of Earth, of the diversity of human cultures and the complex history that had led humanity to the stars. As the night wore on, Jake found himself captivated not just by Zaralyn's alien beauty, but by her quick wit and curious mind. She asked probing questions about human nature, about love and family, and the concept of individual choice. "Do you resent this arrangement?" Zaralyn asked suddenly, her eyes searching his face. "Being told you must marry someone you've never met, from a species so different from your own." Jake considered the question carefully. "I won't lie and say it's not daunting," he admitted. "On Earth, most cultures value personal choice in marriage. But I also understand the greater purpose this union serves." And he added with a small smile, "I'm finding that getting to know you is far from a hardship." Zaralyn's skin flickered with patterns that Jake was beginning to recognize as amusement. "You are a strange one, Jake Cooper. Most Zarquin would be honored beyond measure to be chosen for such a union, yet you speak of personal choice and hardship." "Maybe that's why I'm here," Jake mused, "to help our peoples understand these differences, to find common ground despite them." As the first light of Zarquin Prime's triple suns began to filter through the windows, Zaralyn rose to leave. At the door she paused, turning back to Jake with an expression he couldn't quite read. "I'm glad it's you," she said softly. "Of all the humans who could have come, I'm glad it's someone who sees the wonder in our differences." With that she was gone, leaving Jake to ponder the complexities of the path that lay ahead. As he looked out at the alien sunrise, he felt a sense of purpose stronger than anything he'd known before. He was no longer just a scientist or a reluctant diplomat. He was a bridge between worlds, the key to a future where humanity and Zarquin could stand together among the stars. Little did Jake know that his greatest challenges and his greatest adventures were only just beginning. Forces both on Earth and Zarquin Prime were aligning against this unprecedented union, and the journey to understanding between their species would be fraught with danger, intrigue, and discoveries beyond imagination. As the suns rose fully, bathing the alien city in multicolored light, Jake Cooper, the human betrothed to an alien princess, prepared himself for another day of wonders and trials in his new life among the stars. Cosmic Crucible. The days on Zarquin Prime blurred together in a whirlwind of alien wonders and cultural pitfalls for Jake Cooper. Each moment brought new discoveries, but also fresh challenges that tested his adaptability and resolve. As the date of the Grand Union approached, tensions began to simmer beneath the surface of the seemingly peaceful alliance. One particularly eventful morning, Jake awoke to find his quarters transformed. The walls pulsed with bioluminescent patterns, and the air was thick with a sweet, otherworldly aroma. A Zarquin attendant stood by, their skin flickering with what Jake had come to recognize as nervous excitement. "Greetings, celestial bridegroom," the attendant chimed, using Jake's newly bestowed title. "Today marks the beginning of the trials of unity. Are you prepared to prove your worth to the cosmic confluence?" Jake blinked, his mind racing. He'd heard whispers of these trials, but had received no formal briefing. What exactly do these trials entail? The attendant's skin rippled with patterns that Jake interpreted as a mix of amusement and concern. The trials are unique to each participant, designed to test not just your physical prowess, but your mental acuity, emotional intelligence, and spiritual resonance with a universal harmony. As Jake dressed in the ceremonial garb provided, a suit that seemed to shift and adapt to his body's movements, he couldn't help but feel a twinge of anxiety. He had come to Zarquin Prime prepared for scientific discovery and diplomatic challenges, not some cosmic obstacle course. The first trial took place in what the Zarquin called the Chamber of Quantum Riddles. Jake found himself in a vast, spherical room where reality itself seemed fluid. Equations and symbols floated in the air, rearranging themselves constantly. A disembodied voice echoed through the chamber. "To prove your mental harmony with the universe, you must solve the paradox of entangled destinies. Failure will result in temporal displacement." Jake's heart raced as he began to decipher the floating symbols. His background in xenobiology hadn't prepared him for this level of abstract physics. But as he immersed himself in the puzzle, he found his mind expanding, grasping concepts that should have been beyond human comprehension. Hours passed like seconds, and seconds stretched into subjective eternities. Just when Jake felt his sanity beginning to slip, the final piece clicked into place. The chamber erupted in a dazzling display of light and energy. "The human demonstrates unexpected cognitive resonance," the voice declared. First trial passed. Exhausted but exhilarated, Jake had little time to recover before being whisked away to his next challenge. This time, he found himself in a lush alien forest. The trees pulsed with an internal light, and the ground beneath his feet seemed to breathe. Princess Zoralin's voice drifted through the foliage. "Jake Cooper of Earth, the grove of empathic harmony will test your ability to connect with life forms vastly different from your own. This skill is crucial for our union and the future of our peoples." The forest came alive around him. Plants reached out with tendrils of light, attempting to make contact. Jake felt a flood of alien emotions and sensations threatening to overwhelm him. He struggled to maintain his sense of self while also opening his mind to these strange consciousnesses. As he navigated the psychic landscape of the forest, Jake began to understand. This wasn't just about communicating with alien life. It was about finding universal connections, the common threads that bound all sentient beings. With this realization, the cacophony of alien thoughts coalesced into a harmonious symphony. Jake found himself at the center of a vast, interconnected web of consciousness. For a brief, transcendent moment, he glimpsed the universe as the Zarquin saw it, a living, breathing whole where every particle was connected. As the vision faded, Jake heard Zoralin's voice again, tinged with awe. "You've done more than pass the trial, Jake. You've shown a capacity for universal empathy that few of our own people have achieved." The final trial brought Jake to the edge of Zarquin Prime's atmosphere. Clad in a sleek suit that seemed to be made of living metal, he stood on a platform overlooking the planet's ring system. Queen Selenia's image appeared before him, regal and imposing. "Jake Cooper, you have proven your mind and your heart. Now you must prove your courage and your trust in forces beyond your comprehension. The leap of cosmic faith awaits." The platform beneath Jake's feet disappeared. He found himself in free fall, plummeting towards the planet's surface. The rational part of his mind screamed in terror, but something deeper, something awakened by his trials, told him to embrace the fall. As the ground rushed up to meet him, Jake spread his arms wide, surrendering to the moment. Suddenly, he felt himself caught by unseen forces. His descent slowed, and he found himself floating in a cocoon of energy, guided by the very cosmic forces he had feared. Jake landed gently in the grand hall where his journey had begun. The assembled Zarquin erupted in a chorus of melodic cheers. Queen Sylvania approached, her expression one of genuine respect. Jake Cooper of Earth, you have faced the trials of unity with a spirit that honors both your people and ours. You have proven yourself worthy not just of marriage to my daughter, but of the knowledge and power that comes with joining our civilizations. Princess Zaralyn stepped forward, her eyes shimmering with emotion Jake was only beginning to understand. You've surprised us all, she said softly. Perhaps there is more to humans than we ever imagined. As the Zarquin celebrated around him, Jake felt a profound shift in his perception of the universe and his place in it. He had come to this alien world as a scientist and reluctant diplomat. He now stood as something more, a bridge between worlds, a pioneer of cosmic understanding. But even as he basked in the glow of his achievements, a nagging doubt lingered in the back of Jake's mind. He had glimpsed wonders beyond human imagining, tapped into powers he never knew existed. What would this mean for his connection to Earth? And more pressingly, what new challenges awaited as he and Zaralyn prepared to unite their vastly different worlds? The path ahead was uncertain, filled with political intrigue, cultural clashes, and the ever-present risk of interstellar conflict. But as Jake looked into Zaralyn's starry eyes, he knew that together, they had the potential to reshape the very fabric of the cosmos. The trials of unity were complete, but Jake Cooper's true test was only just beginning. The fate of two civilizations now rested on the unlikely love story of a human scientist and an alien princess, a tale of cosmic proportions that would echo across the stars for eons to come. Starbound conspiracy. As the dust settled from Jake's triumphant completion of the trials of unity, a new challenge emerged from the shadows of both human and Zarquin society. The unprecedented alliance between Earth and Zarquin Prime had shaken the foundations of galactic politics, and not everyone was pleased with this cosmic shift in power. Jake and Princess Zaralyn found themselves at the center of a storm they never saw coming. Their love, once a beacon of hope for interstellar peace, now faced its greatest test. The trouble began on what should have been a day of celebration. Jake and Zaralyn were attending a grand gala in the Crystal Spire, the tallest structure on Zarquin Prime. As they mingled with dignitaries from both worlds, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. Zara, he whispered, using the private nickname he'd given her, does something feel off to you? The princess's skin rippled with patterns of concern. I sense it too. The harmonies are discordant. Suddenly, the lights in the crystal spire flickered and died. In the ensuing darkness, chaos erupted. Shouts of confusion turned to screams of terror as energy weapons discharged, their beams cutting through the blackness. Jake's enhanced reflexes, a gift from the trials, kicked in. He grabbed Zaralyn and pulled her to the ground just as a bolt of crackling energy passed over their heads. We're under attack, he shouted, his voice barely audible over the pandemonium. As his eyes adjusted to the darkness, Jake saw masked figures moving through the crowd with ruthless efficiency. They weren't killing indiscriminately, he realized. They were targeting specific individuals, key players in the Earth-Zarquin alliance. We need to get out of here, Jake said, pulling Zaralyn towards an emergency exit. But as they reached the door, they found their path blocked by one of the attackers. The assailant raised their weapon, but Zaralyn was faster. Her hands glowed with bioluminescent energy as she unleashed a pulse that sent the attacker flying. I'm not just a princess, she said with a grim smile. I'm a cosmic guardian in training. Together, Jake and Zaralyn fought their way out of the crystal spire, using a combination of his enhanced human abilities and her Zarquin powers. As they emerged onto the streets of the capital, they saw that the attack wasn't isolated. The entire city was in upheaval. We need to get to the quantum nexus, Zaralyn said urgently. It's the communications hub for the entire planet. We can alert the Galactic Council from there. As they raced through the chaotic streets, Jake's mind whirled with questions. Who was behind this attack? How had they managed to infiltrate the heart of Zarquin Prime's defenses? Their path to the quantum nexus was fraught with danger. They encountered pockets of resistance, loyal Zarquin security forces fighting against the insurgents, and did what they could to help. Jake's diplomatic skills came in handy as they coordinated with the defenders, bridging the communication gap between humans and Zarquin in the heat of battle. When they finally reached the quantum nexus, they found it under siege. A group of attackers, a mix of humans and Zarquin rebels, were attempting to breach its defenses. "This is worse than I thought," Zaralyn said, her voice heavy with realization. "This isn't just an attack. It's a coup attempt." Jake nodded grimly. "And it's not just Zarquin rebels. There are humans involved too. Someone doesn't want our worlds to unite." With no other choice, Jake and Zaralyn launched themselves into the fray. The battle that ensued was like nothing Jake had ever experienced. Energy weapons clashed with Zarquin biotics, while he used his newfound abilities to hold his own against opponents from two worlds. In the midst of the chaos, Jake caught a glimpse of a familiar face. Dr. Foster, the cultural anthropologist from the horizon. "Dr. Foster?" he called out in disbelief. "What are you doing here?" The anthropologist turned, her face a mask of determination. "I'm sorry, Jake," she said, raising a weapon, "but this alliance can't be allowed to happen. The cultural contamination, the risks are too great." Before she could fire, Zaralyn intervened, encasing Dr. Foster in a bubble of energy. "Your fears are misplaced," the princess said firmly. "Our union doesn't erase our differences, it celebrates them." As the security forces finally gained the upper hand, Jake and Zaralyn made their way to the heart of the quantum nexus. There, they discovered the true scale of the conspiracy. On screens displaying quantum-entangled communications, they saw similar attacks unfolding on Earth and other key worlds across the galaxy. "This isn't just about us," Jake realized. "It's about the future of galactic civilization itself." Using the Nexus, they sent out a call for aid to all allied worlds. Jake's impassioned speech, translated and broadcast across the stars, rallied support from unexpected quarters. Species that had long remained neutral in galactic affairs found themselves moved by the vision of unity that Jake and Zaralyn represented. As reinforcements arrived and the tide of battle turned, Jake and Zaralyn found a moment of respite. Standing on a balcony overlooking the recovering city, they watched ships from a dozen different worlds descend from the sky, coming to the aid of Zarquin Prime. "We did it," Jake said, a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration in his voice. "We saved the Alliance." Zaralyn took his hand, her skin glowing with patterns of affection and determination. "We did more than that, Jake. We started something bigger than either of us imagined. This isn't just about Earth and Zarquin Prime anymore. It's about forging a true galactic community." As the first rays of dawn broke over the horizon, painting the sky in hues no human eye had ever seen, Jake Cooper and Princess Zaralyn stood united. They had faced trials, overcome prejudices, and thwarted a conspiracy that spanned the stars. Their journey was far from over, but they had taken the first steps towards a future where the boundaries between worlds would fade and the galaxy would unite in a cosmic harmony. The legend of the human scientist and the alien princess who defied the odds to bring peace to the stars was just beginning. And as news of their victory spread across the cosmos, beings on countless worlds looked to the skies with newfound hope, wondering what wonders this brave new era of galactic cooperation would bring. Cosmic convergence. The aftermath of the galactic conspiracy left both Earth and Zarquin Prime in a state of upheaval. As the dust settled, Jake Cooper and Princess Zaralyn found themselves at the center of a new interstellar paradigm. Their union was no longer just a diplomatic arrangement. It had become a symbol of hope for beings across the cosmos. The day of their wedding arrived, an event unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. The ceremony was to be held in the newly constructed Harmony Spire, a marvel of engineering that stretched from the surface of Zarquin Prime into low orbit. Its design incorporated elements from countless worlds, a physical manifestation of the new era of cooperation. As Jake prepared in his chambers, he couldn't help but reflect on the incredible journey that had brought him to this moment. A holographic message flickered to life. Captain Chen's face appeared, her expression a mix of pride and concern. "Cooper," she said, her voice tinged with static from the vast distance, "I never imagined when I sent you on this mission that it would lead to, well, all of this. You've changed the course of human history. Are you ready for what comes next?" Jake straightened his collar, a blend of Terran formal wear and Zarquin ceremonial garb. "Ready as I'll ever be, Captain. This is bigger than just me now. It's about the future of all our peoples." As he made his way to the central chamber of the Harmony Spire, Jake marveled at the diversity of the gathered guests. Representatives from 1,000 worlds filled the space, their forms as varied as the stars themselves. Some floated in anti-gravity fields, others shimmered in and out of phase with reality, while still others existed as pure energy. At the far end of the chamber stood Princess Zaralyn. Her beauty transcended species, her form seeming to shift and adapt so that beings from every world saw in her a reflection of their own ideals. As Jake approached, he felt a connection that went beyond the physical, a resonance of souls across the cosmic divide. Queen Selania's voice rang out, amplified not just through sound, but through a telepathic link that reached every mind in attendance. "We gather today not just to unite two beings, but to forge a bond between all sentient life. Let this union be the first thread in a tapestry that will weave our fates together." As Jake and Zaralyn exchanged vows, their words translated into 1,000 languages and forms of communication, something extraordinary began to happen. The Harmony Spire itself seemed to come alive, responding to the emotions filling the chamber. Strands of energy, visible yet intangible, began to flow from the assembled guests, converging on the couple. Jake felt a sudden rush of sensation. He was experiencing the thoughts and feelings of every being in attendance. In that moment, he understood the true meaning of universal empathy. He saw the hopes, fears, and dreams of 1,000,000 different species, all interconnected in a cosmic web of consciousness. Zaralyn's eyes met his, and he knew she was experiencing the same phenomenon. "Jake," she said, her voice echoing in his mind, "I think we've triggered something." The ancient prophecies spoke of a cosmic convergence, but it was thought to be mere legend. As their hands joined to complete the ceremony, a pulse of energy radiated outward from the Harmony Spire. Across the galaxy, beings of all kinds felt a momentary connection, a flash of unity that transcended the barriers of space and time. In that instant, the universe itself seemed to shift. Previously insurmountable problems found solutions as minds across the cosmos briefly linked, sharing knowledge and inspiration. Age-old conflicts dissolved in the face of newfound understanding. The very fabric of reality rippled with the potential of this new, united galactic civilization. As the energy subsided and the assembled guests came back to themselves, a stunned silence fell over the chamber. It was broken by a sound that started low but quickly grew. Cheers, applause, and expressions of joy in 1,000,000 different forms. Jake and Zaralyn stood at the center of it all, their union now far more than a simple marriage. They had become catalysts for a new age of galactic enlightenment. In the days that followed, as news of the cosmic convergence spread, Jake and Zaralyn found themselves facing a new challenge. They were no longer just diplomats or even rulers. They had become living symbols of unity, sought after by beings from every corner of the galaxy. Their honeymoon became a whirlwind tour of worlds beyond imagination. They mediated conflicts on gas giant moons, explored the ruins of civilizations that had fallen eons ago, and helped establish the framework for a true galactic government. But with their newfound status came danger. Not everyone welcomed the rapid changes sweeping the cosmos. Isolationist factions and those who thrived on conflict saw Jake and Zaralyn as threats to their way of life. On a distant world of eternal twilight, as they worked to bring a centuries-long war to an end, they found themselves ambushed by shape-shifting assassins. The battle that ensued was like something out of legend, Jake's enhanced human abilities complementing Zar-Elin's mastery of cosmic energies as they fought back-to-back against impossible odds. As the last assassin fell, Jake turned to his wife, a wry smile on his face despite the danger they'd just faced. "You know, when I signed up for this mission, I didn't expect to become part of a galactic power couple with a target on our backs." Zar-Elin laughed, the sound like music that set the very air shimmering. "And I never thought I'd fall in love with a being from a world my people once considered primitive. Life is full of surprises, my love." Their journey continued, each challenge bringing them closer together and further cementing their role as the guardians of this new era. They faced trials that tested not just their strength and courage, but the very nature of their bond. In the heart of a dying star, they encountered beings of pure energy who challenged the authenticity of their connection. Jake and Zar-Elin were forced to undergo a separation of their very essences, their consciousness scattered across multiple dimensions. For what felt like eons, they searched for each other across the infinite expanse of reality. It was their love, transcending the boundaries of physics and biology, that finally brought them back together. When they reformed, they found that their bond had grown even stronger, their abilities now extending beyond the physical realm. As they approached the first anniversary of their union and the cosmic convergence, Jake and Zar-Elin returned to the Harmony Spire. The galaxy had changed dramatically in the span of a year. Faster-than-light travel had become commonplace, allowing for true interstellar community. Diseases that had plagued worlds for millennia were cured through the combined efforts of 1,000 species. The first steps were being taken to repair worlds damaged by war and exploitation. Standing at the top of the spire, looking out at the glittering expanse of the galaxy, Jake felt a sense of awe and responsibility. He turned to Zar-Elin, seeing in her eyes the same mix of emotions. "We've come so far," he said softly, "but there's still so much to do. So many worlds to help, so many wonders to discover." Zar-Elin nodded, her form shimmering with patterns that expressed her agreement and determination. "And we'll face it all together, my love. Not just you and I, but all the peoples of the galaxy. We've shown them what's possible when we unite. Now, we must lead them into this brave new future." As if in response to their words, a new light blossomed in the sky, a supernova, visible even in daylight. But this was no ordinary stellar explosion. As they watched, the light coalesced into a form, a cosmic entity born from the energies released by the convergence. The being spoke, its words resonating not in sound, but in the very essence of reality. "You've done well, children of the stars, but your greatest trials lie ahead. The galaxy is awakening, and with it, ancient forces stir. You must be ready." As the entity faded, leaving behind a sense of both wonder and foreboding, Jake and Zar-Elin clasped hands. They stood at the threshold of a new chapter in galactic history, ready to face whatever challenges the cosmos might throw their way. Their love story had become legend, a tale told on countless worlds, but it was more than just a romance. It was a beacon of hope, a promise that no matter how vast and cold the universe might seem, connection and understanding could flourish, bridging the gaps between stars and souls alike. As the first light of a new day broke over Zarquin Prime, Jake Cooper and Princess Zar-Elin, the human and the alien who had changed the fate of the galaxy, set their sights on the horizon. Their journey was far from over. In fact, it had only just begun. The cosmos watched and waited, holding its breath for the next chapter in this epic tale of love, unity, and the boundless potential of life among the stars.